What's up YouTube, this is SlayIsland and I'm back with my NBA 2K League mid-season power rankings. Week 6 just finished, which means we're halfway done with the 12-week regular season in which every team will play 14 games. The top 7 teams in the standings and the winner of the final mid-season tournament will be the 8 teams who make the playoffs. But let's get right into my power rankings. Coming in at number 17, we have Warriors Gaming Squad. The Warriors currently have the worst record in the league as they're sitting at 1-5. This past week they played Blazer 5 very tough and managed to lose the game by only 3 points. But with the season halfway over and the Warriors sitting with only 1 win, their playoff hopes are pretty much gone. And next week they have another tough matchup as they take on the 76ers Gaming Club. One thing I'm going to bring up a lot during this video is how the NBA 2K League has turned into a copycats league. And what I mean by that is, ever since Blazer 5 ran through the tournament, everyone's trying to copy what they're doing. Same archetypes, same system, same everything. And in gaming, this is commonly referred to as the meta, which means the most effective tactic available. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to my rankings. Coming in at number 16, we have Grizz Gaming. The Grizz are currently sitting at 2-5, and in my opinion, they just don't have the talent to make a turnaround for this season. Their play on the court has been rather boring, but off the court, some interesting stories have arisen from Memphis. Memphis's first overall pick, winner stays on, the guy who is touted as one of the most likable, best leaders going into the draft, has actually blocked all of his teammates on Twitter. If that's not a sign of a dysfunctional team, I don't know what is. Moving on, the number 15 ranked team in my power rankings, Knicks Gaming. The Knicks are currently sitting at 2-5, and like I said earlier, a lot of teams are trying to copy the Blazers, and the Knicks are one of the best examples. And the problem with all these teams trying to run the Blazers offense is the Blazers have the best personnel to run this offense. Everyone doing this is just giving them the championship. The Knicks have a doubleheader this week. They play the Cavs and the Grizz. If they lose either one of these games, I think they're eliminated from the playoffs. Moving on to my number 14 ranked team, we have Kings Gaming. The Kings started the season off 3-1, but after a 3-game losing streak, they're now sitting at 3-4. The Kings have been a big letdown this season. Going into the year, with Moody, Colt, and Timely Cook, some of the biggest names in the league, everyone had high aspirations for this team. And in my opinion, the biggest reason why this team isn't working out is the personalities. I've heard rumors that this team hates each other. It just doesn't gel at all. And that's something we don't get to see when they're playing the game, but chemistry is just as important as skill. Next up, coming in at number 13, we have Heat Check Gaming. The Heat are sitting at 3-4, and just last week they had a 1-point win over the Knicks and then a 30-point loss to the Cavs. So far during the season, the Heat have only beat teams with a record under 500. And if I had to pinpoint the biggest problem with this team, in my opinion it would be the leadership. They don't have that guy who's going to lead the team to victory. Majestic has always been that number 2 to Fab. Hotshot has always been that number 2 to JT. They just don't have that guy. Having a great leader is so important to be a successful team in this league, and that's something you gotta look at when you're drafting a team. Moving on to my number 12 ranked team, we have Raptors Uprising. A few weeks back, the Raptors decided to move Kenny back to point guard and move King Quay to center, and now they're on a 2-game win streak and they're looking at a chance to make the playoffs. In their next 2 games, they play the Pistons and the Warriors. These are 2 very winnable games. If they take advantage of this, they can get right back to 500. After starting the season 1-5, the Raptors couldn't imagine being in much better of a situation right now. Moving on to my number 11 ranked team, and probably the biggest riser in my rankings, we have Pacers Gaming. After starting the season 0-4, the Pacers bounced back with 2 big wins and are now sitting at 2-4. Just like the Raptors, the Pacers made a big change moving Wolf to point guard, and ever since then, they're on a 2-game win streak. Another thing I want to mention about this team, a few weeks ago their 6-man The Playa quit the team, and just last week they were finally given a new 6-man out of the reserve pool. Shockey has played competitive Pro-Am for many years on the Pro-Am team Swish E. He's a very solid big man who's extremely smart as he earned his master's degree before playing in the league. Now coming in at number 10 on my rankings, we have Magic Gaming. The Magic are sitting at 3-4, but just last week they suffered a 40-point loss to the 76ers. In this game, they decided to try out a new lineup. Control decided to run point guard using the shooting guard slashing shot creator build, and it just didn't work out. But I actually like that they decided to try something new, because I think they know if they run the current meta, they have 0 chance of beating the Blazers in the playoffs. But despite their big loss last week, the Magic are still right on the bubble of making the playoffs. If they can string together a few wins, I could easily see this team sneaking in. Moving on to my number 9 ranked team, we have Pistons GT. Despite starting the season off 3-0, the Pistons have lost 3 of their last 4 and currently have the second worst point differential in the league. And after a 30-point loss to the Mavs last week, something on this Pistons team has to change, and it has to change fast. I'm so far ahead in Insanity have shown flashes of great play, but Ramo has really been the only consistent performer on this team. Their shooting guard Splash King has looked like maybe the worst player in the entire league. He averages around 4 points, less than 1 assist, and shoots around 40% from the field. I really don't like dissing the Combine, but this is a perfect example of why the Combine doesn't always find the best players. Splash King put up arguably the best shooting guard stats in the whole world, as he averaged over 33 points and 3 steals a game. And after drafting him in the 3rd round, the Pistons coach said they got the best shooting guard in the world. But before putting up great numbers in the Combine, he had no experience playing any type of competitive Pro-Am. But let's move on to my number 8 ranked team, and that would be Bucks Gaming. The Bucks started the season off 0-3, but after winning 3 of their last 4 games, they're now sitting at 3-4. Drake struggled earlier in the season at point guard, but he's starting to finally find his groove. And their 6th round pick, Big Meek, is looking like one of the best power forwards in the league. If I had to make a prediction right now, I would say the Bucks are going to make the playoffs. Let me tell you some of the teams they still have to play in the season. The Pacers, the Grizz, the Raptors, the Warriors, and the Knicks. All these games are very winnable. The Bucks are also one of the few teams experimenting with different lineups and not just copying the Blazers. They're starting to run Larry on a rebounding post scorer at center, and they're doing this because it has a very high mid-range, unlike the pure rim protector build that most teams are using. Alright, moving forward to my number 7 ranked team, we have Wizards District Gaming. The Wizards tried to change up their lineup last week as they moved Jin to point guard and JT to center, but it just didn't work out as they ended up losing to the Raptors. Despite them being on a 2-game losing streak, I still think they're the best team sitting at 3-4, and they have the most potential to win a championship. Next week I see them going back to their old lineup of JT at point guard and Jin at small forward, since that was a lineup they had a lot of success with before switching it up. This upcoming week they have a very tough matchup as they take on Mavs Gaming. This is an extremely important game for the Wizards, as if they lose, it's going to drop them down to 3-5. In a league where you want to be at least 7-7 to have a chance to make the playoffs, 3-5 is a tough place to come back from. Moving on to my number 6 ranked team, we have Celtics Crossover Gaming. The Celtics' problems early in the season was their 3-point shooting, but finally they changed their jump shots, and just last week, Fab shot a combined 4 for 6 from 3 in their 2 games. And a few games back, they added Speedbrick to the lineup as shooting guard, and he currently leads the league in 3-point percentage, shooting 75% from downtown. But despite Fab leading the league in assists and steals, and them having the highest percentage 3-point shooter in the league, they're still only sitting at 4-4. I still don't know how good this team is. I've seen them lose to the Warriors and then make it all the way to the finals of the tournament. One thing I do know though, come playoff time, I expect the Celtics to be in. Next up, my number 5 ranked team, Cavs Legion. The Cavs are currently sitting at 5-3 and are coming off a big 30-point win over the Heat. In this game, they decided to try out a new lineup. They moved their center Sick to point guard and brought in Hood at power forward. This lineup allowed them to take advantage of Hood's scoring ability as he put up 32 points. And Sick looked like an extremely smart point guard as he controlled the tempo of the game and finished with 20 assists. Going into the second half of the season, I think the Cavs might have found their best lineup, and I expect them to continue playing great going on to the next couple weeks. Next up, we have my number 4 ranked team, Jazz Gaming. The Jazz are currently sitting at 5-2 and are on a 2-game win streak after beating the Celtics last week. Leadership and chemistry are 2 of the most important things in the team, and the Jazz have both. Off the court, I think the Jazz gel better than pretty much every team. And they also have, in my opinion, the best leader in the entire league, and yeah, I compete. Not only are the Jazz great off the floor, they're great on the floor too. And Mr. Slaughter, their center, is in the MVP discussion. Coming in at number 3 on my rankings, we have Mavs Gaming. The Mavs are sitting at 5-2 and are coming off a huge 35-point blowout win over the Pistons. Dimes continues to show why he was the number 1 overall pick, as he's averaging over 20 points and 12 assists. Going into the league, a lot of people were questioning Dimes' defensive ability, but so far he's top 5 in the league in steals, so he's clearly exceeded expectations there. There isn't much more to say about this team. They've been great all year long, and I'm 99% sure they'll be in the playoffs. Moving on to my number 2 ranked team, once again we have 76ers Gaming Club. The 76ers are 5-2 and are coming off a 40-point win over the Magic. Looking at the stats for this team, the big thing that stands out for me is they're the only team in the league where every single player averages over double digits. And I think this goes to show how great of a passer Radiant is and how great their coach has been. The 76ers coach Jeff Terrell has clearly been the best coach in the league to me. He had previous experience coaching basketball, and he also had experience playing competitive 2K. Going into the season, not many people expected this team to be very good, but here we are. They're the second best team in the league. But now, let's look at the best team in the league, the undefeated Blazer 5 Gaming. The Blazers are clearly the best team in the league, and if anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying. They haven't lost a game all regular season, they were the winners of the Turn tournament. What more do I have to say? You can make a very strong argument that they have the best center and the best point guard in the league, and those are the two most important positions in basketball. If the meta doesn't change pretty soon, I think the Blazers are a clear favorite to win the championship. But that's it for this video. Here are the games for next week. If you want to watch them live, you can catch them on the NBA 2K League's Twitch page. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm out.